So, hello and welcome back to the Superior Comic Show, the Irish podcast on all things pop culture. I'm your host, Peter, and today I'm joined by writer extraordinaire, Al Ewing. Al, welcome.
Hello. Hi. How are things?
Not too bad, man. Just trucking along yourself?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Just getting into the weekend.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Get right into it.
Yeah.
Yourself now. I was talking to Declan Shalvey last week, who was writing a one shot for your
Yes.
Hulk book.
Yeah, right. I got to see that as it took shape, and yeah, I just I just look great, so I kind of just sort of waved it through. But like, yeah, that's gonna be really good, I think.
He did say he's quite nervous. There's a little soundbite I took from the show that I shared out on Twitter. He did say that he hasn't shown you the finished product yet, and he's quite nervous because of how successful the book is.
I mean, it's like I'm okay if it's sort of, because I've seen his script. I've seen like I think I sort of gave him like a couple of notes, just like small things, little tiny tonal things, nothing major. Maybe not even that, but like thing is, it's a good story, and it's going to be, a really good issue. And the last one, the one, the threshing place, that was really amazing. So I mean, it's really gratifying that people are sort of, and I'm sort of chatting with somebody about like a potential future one, although that's got a couple of hoops and sort of hurdles and like general, that doesn't exist in a form yet where I can really sort of be all like, oh yeah, this is absolutely 100% going to happen. But I think it probably is.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's going to be good. So these sort of little one shots by like outside hands, so to speak. It's been really kind of interesting seeing them take shape, seeing what people sort of make of it, because it is a case of like somebody like Declan comes along and you're sort of, it's like it's what we've been doing refracted through his sensibilities, and that's really fascinating to me. That's just like, I'd love if we could do more of that, but it's like, obviously there's room for only so many of these one shots, and if we had too many, it'd be like, it'd make them less special. So, but I am really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, he did say it on agreement. The Immortal Hulk, we touched on it there. We were chatting before introduced the show in there. To me, I was saying to Declan, it was such a new concept for me. I hadn't really read many horror kind of based books, and especially in terms of the Hulk. I've said this on a show before as an unpopular opinion of mine is I like the Hulk as a character in a team, but I was never really interested in him on his own until I picked up the Hulk, and it grabbed me from the start because it was so different to the norm. What was the process with that?
I do hear that a lot. It's and it's obviously very gratifying to have brought in a bunch of new Hulk fans, especially since we deal so much with, like, I guess you could call it like the lore, the kind of previous, that we sort of amalgamate a lot of the past of the Hulk into the story. So hopefully if people, because we are doing a thing now, and it's kind of, it's the reasons for it are complicated, but basically if I just sort of gesture at the entire world being on fire, you get the idea. But what we're doing is we're sort of, it used to be double ship months and then like a single ship month, so it'd be like 3 issues every 2 months. And that was quite a pace, but we were kind of, Joe especially is just one of the, given his level of skill, he is one of the fastest artists I've ever worked with. And like, generally if you say an artist is fast, you're sort of implying that they're not, like, but we've all seen Joe's art at this point,
Yeah.
but he produces that at a rate. He's like, oh, he's really good. But like, we can kind of keep up, especially when we have our guest artists, which is like, anytime it looks like we're going to need to spell Joe for an issue, we sort of plan that out like way, way, way far in advance. And we kind of, we have like a jam issue. 42 is a jam issue. It might be our last guest artist issue. But yeah, what I was about to say is that it's going to be a 1 a month book until the end. And that's, I think that's been announced. I should check if that's been announced. I might be about to ask you to bleep that to chop all this out. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. It's on Games Radar. It was on Games Radar 3 years ago. 3 days ago. But yeah, the next 3 months. Certainly it's monthly the next 3 months. I guess after that we'll see how it goes. But no, but it's been announced that we're doing it sort of. Yeah, no, that's it. It's what I was going to say is that with the time between issues, because it used to be you'd only have to wait 2 weeks most of the time, and then occasionally you'd have to wait a month. But now with the longer time between issues, that might give readers sort of, they might be sort of hungry to like jump into the back issues.
Yeah.
And like check out some of the classic runs, like the Bill Mantlo run. Obviously, the Peter David run is what I grew up on, and everybody is very. There's a lot of it, so you can really dig through it. Ditto the Bill Mantlo run. There's a lot more of that than because you go back and you think like Bill Mantlo Hulk, and if you're sort of a Hulk fan of long standing, you might sort of flash back to like the Hulk at the Crossroads arc, or Mindless Hulk. But there's a lot of Mantlo, and it's all good stuff. So yeah, I do kind of hear a lot that this is like the entry point to the Hulk.
For me, 100%. It's even the art mixed with the writing. Like I've never read a book that has made me feel slightly uneasy at times, while also wanting to keep reading.
I mean, that's a huge compliment. I'm glad we can make you feel uneasy.
But you said there that the issues are going to be staggered a bit more now.
Well, for the next 3 months,
yeah.
And this is what they said on Games Radar. I mean, I think a lot of it is sort of dependent on like the state of the world, but like I don't know, I don't know what I think. Don't ask me about the reasoning. It's all these are decisions above my sort of level of expertise or input, so it's sort of, but to be honest, we're doing stuff that like having a little extra room in the schedule. That's probably, we don't need it, but it probably is a good thing for us. Joe knowing he can take that extra day on a page. He might not need it, but it's nice to have. We are very far ahead at the moment. I think we're further ahead than we've. I'm never very far ahead of Joe because he is very fast. But as a team, we're really far ahead. We've got issues like, ready for the printer, like way ahead. So I don't know how much of this is like behind the curtain stuff that someone will analyze, but it's, I guess what I'm saying is I don't think there are going to be delays in the adjusted schedule.
Yeah.
So,
So how can you say how far ahead you are? Like what issue you're up to?
I'm sort of, I don't know. I'm starting to think that might not be a good idea, but it's like, yeah, I don't know if I'd get in trouble if I said how far ahead we were, but I don't know why I would get in trouble. Definitely. I mean, Joe's putting stuff out on his Facebook that is like, it's kind of fun watching people try to guess the context of it. And because I drop no clues, but like Joe likes to put up the odd panel that he's just finished working on to kind of juice, the audience a little bit. And it is fun seeing, people try and sort of guess how far ahead that is and like what the context is, and they're generally wrong. So it's like, I don't know. I kind of don't want to put an actual number on it.
That's fair.
On where we're at, but like, and also I have no idea if it's like, I mean, for all I know, it's some sort of terrible etiquette, or it's like some kind of, I get a little email saying, "Oh, I wish you hadn't said that." It's like, So I mean, I'm playing it safe to an extent, but I have no idea. I don't know about any of this stuff. I just write the books.
Yeah. But even at that, nowadays, like Immortal Hulk, like I said, 42 is the next one coming out. And nowadays in books, for a character that isn't inside, say, the Avengers or Spider-Man or the likes of Batman, it is quite rare for a book to be reaching up into them high numbers and gaining interest.
Yeah,
one to think of as yourself with Immortal Hulk and Donny Cates with Venom.
That didn't used to be a high number. It's like, it's kind of, I don't know. I guess we were almost in a seasonal model for a while there. And that's because I know I've sort of done the thing where I've done sort of new number ones after, but it's like, I kind of feel like it's almost Hulk and Venom as sort of, it's almost a test case for kind of going high with the numbers and sort of sustaining these long runs. But on the other hand, it's like, it's the same creative team, it's still Donny on Venom. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it might be in the same way that like these, runs in the hundreds gave way to like the new number one thing and the sort of the volume approach where it's like, you get sort of Avengers volume such and such, and then, that kind of went to the legacy numbering approach. This is sort of, I don't know. I feel like the industry's always trying to find that sort of happy medium between like, keeping like the history of it and keeping readers interested, which is like the name of the game at all times. Is like, what is gonna keep readers buying the books. It's like the story comes first, but you want people to read that story.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe, starting with issue 1 instead of issue 478 is gonna like is gonna make that happen. But then I kind of feel like in the case certainly in the case of Hulk, and I'd say in the case of Venom as well, there's like, what readers want is to know that this is all one big story that's being told.
I agree with the legacy numbers. I enjoyed both, with them restarting a couple of issues like the volume kind of thing. That's how I got my Spider-Man 1 signed by Dan Slott, even though it was probably number 500 and something.
There's a fun little effect to the legacy numbers, which is like at some point I worked out that like issue 33 was going to be, and that landed pretty well for me. But issue 33 was going to be like a it was issue I want to say 750. But like yeah, and you know, that was going to be the big legacy or the first big legacy kind of number, like round number.
Yeah.
And then we did something special for 25. And you know, if it's probably not a huge spoiler to suggest that we've got our eyes on issue 50 as a special thing. I don't think that's
on the spot.
Sorry?
I didn't want to ask and put you on the spot. I did have that question.
I mean, it's like, I don't think that's a spoiler as much as just a mathematical thing. It's like, you know, oh, okay, we did a big thing for 25. Issue 41 is coming out this week. Issue 42, I think, is January now. Which is good. It still works. It was like a year-end issue, so it still works for that. But like, yeah, basically, you know, we're in the early 40s. We did a big thing at issue 25. At a certain point, it's just maths. It's just like, it's not news. You know, it's not like an exclusive. It's what everybody had a feeling about already. Which, you know, I'm sure somebody will turn it into an exclusive. Yeah, I said we're planning another big issue. What a shock! Who could have predicted that I'd want more pages at any point in my life?
It's going to be all over. We got this covered all by the.
Oh yeah. No, I do ask for a lot of these 30 pages and 40 pages and things. I ask for one every so often, and sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. But like the thing with that is that people see the cover price of those, and they get a bit like, they get a bit weird because they cost more. But per page of story, it costs less. When you do a 30-page issue, it's something like it's something weird like 4 cents less per story page, but it's I'd have to do the maths. It gets into decimals at some point.
Yeah.
But you know, you're paying less, and you get that again when you go to like when you go to 40 pages, I think, and it's like, you know, you're paying out more at the till, but you're getting more than you would be if you paid out the same for single issues.
Yeah,
so that always slightly bugs me when people like. But I mean, I can also understand that, you know, you turn up at your comic shop and, you know, you haven't been reading the and suddenly, you know, the comic you've been picking up month after month, you know, suddenly you've got an annual in your hands, you know, and it's like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. So I can see that as well. But it's like, I do like doing those big issues because you can pack a lot into them.
I enjoyed them as well. I thought, I'm like, yeah, they're a bit more expensive, but like you said, I find I'm getting more for slightly a bit less. And
I mean, that's the goal.
Yeah. With special issues and stuff, like you just done the King in Black tie-in issue is coming out.
Yeah.
How is that? How does how do tie-ins affect how you're going with your own story when it comes to events like this?
Oh, we had to make a decision on this like very early on because I was involved in that kind of Defenders.
Mm.
It was basically like a series of 5 annuals, and that basically kind of set the tone for any kind of time we did after that. In that, anytime we tie into something, and we kind of have to every so often, because otherwise we're just like completely ignoring it. But any kind of time we do in Hulk is like, and this might be a model for other things going forward. Because I mean, I am, in Sword, I'm trying it the other way. I'm trying it the old way with, and we'll see what that does to the readership. But those are some good times, and I'm pretty happy with them. But yeah, all of the tie-ins are like annuals.
Yeah.
Like we treat them like optional extras, and they fit into the larger story. They fit into the continuity of the Hulk, but at the same time, they're kind of like they're very they're their own thing. They're very much kind of yeah, and it's what you can do with that is that it gives you an opportunity to sort of be part of these large events without. Oh, sorry. So yeah, basically, it gives us the opportunity to like explore these tie-ins, but also since we're doing something outside the main series, so we don't have to worry about our own plot. It gives us the opportunity to get quite experimental with it. So with the Defenders thing, the idea was to do a story where the Hulk didn't appear really, where it was just Bruce Banner. And then with the Absolute Carnage one, I wanted to do something exploring like the mindscape, and we had a great. I think that was Philippe Andrade, but we had a great artist for that. But I did want to do something that kind of to like explore how I tackle like the Hulk mindscape a little bit. And then for this new one, for the King in Black one, I mean, I feel like there was definitely another one. There was another. We tied in something else. Oh yeah, Empire.
Empire.
Yeah, that was like that was the She-Hulk one. That was like, okay, well, what would an issue of like Immortal She-Hulk look like, and how would she react to like this kind of thing? But like with the we've been wanting to do, and we were going to do it as part of the main book, but just with everything and the way the plot is, and I'm glad we didn't now, because it would have been issue 41, and we really need that issue for what the issue 41 is going to be, which is the Hulk versus the Thing story.
Awesome cover as well. I've seen the cover and the previews, and them sitting in the diner.
Yeah, no, it's going to be like a really kind of. I wanted to do something that's like very different from all previous Thing versus Hulk battles, but also I really like writing the Thing. But like, yeah, for this we wanted to do like a Christmas issue, and it's just like the trouble with that is that you have to know for a certainty that it's dropping in December.
Yeah.
And luckily, thanks to the repositioning of the schedule, King in Black now starts in December, and I know I'm not the only one doing a Christmas issue. But I decided I wanted to do a sort of wordless kind of like Christmas tale. And we had Aaron Kuder on it, and his storytelling. I mean, it's a risk. I'm feeling more nervous about it than I am about any other issue of Hulk today, because I'm asking different things from the reader. I'm asking them to like concentrate on each panel and like discern, what's happening. And Aaron makes that very, very, very easy for the reader. It's like I couldn't ask for better storytelling. It's all just like, and I was just like, no, I can't. Not only do I not want to put any words on this, I can't put words on this. It would destroy what Aaron's built.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a wordless issue. It's a Christmas issue. It's like, and yeah, it's a risk because we're asking readers to read it in a different way, and like really kind of pour over it. And I know I'm gonna get like a whole bunch of the comics websites going, "Oh, I just flipped through this, and it took me 2 seconds," and I'm like, "Oh God." But like, hopefully it's a heartwarming Christmas issue, and kind of more importantly, it's an experiment.
Yeah.
We like experimenting at Immortal Hulk. It's what we do. I used to keep an eye on like sales figures, and now I just, I'll if it's doing badly, I'll find out when they cancel it. I can't I can't be all like, because you never know. You never really know what's going to do well.
Yeah.
I think the Hulk book just broke me of any kind of idea that I know what sells or doesn't sell. Because the issues of that were like did the big things before I stopped like looking at what was doing the big stuff. Was like really talky issues, and like the issue with the big environmental rant in it. That's like, yeah, that's incredibly successful. It's like, so what do I glean from this? That people really like it when the Hulk gets angry about nuclear war. It's like, okay, no, sorry, no, I just do, I just do whatever I want. And
Yeah. Well, look, them people that you said will just put them online that they only kind of flick through it. They're the same ones that, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, that are constantly crying on Twitter about this character not being to their liking or this book not being to their liking.
I mean, that's kind of all over the internet, but it's like, you can't really, and I mean, it sort of comes from all sides, but it's like you can't really sort of, you get a sort of gut sense of what is in character for a character, and if you rely on that, at least I find this, I can't speak for all writers, but I find that when I rely on my gut sense of who a character is and how they'd react in a situation, that never really steers me wrong. Like 9 times out of 10, I'll kind of, and then occasionally I'll like read up on something and somebody go like, "Oh well, it's hard to believe that the person who did this in like the 90s would do this now," and I'm like, "Oh crap, I never even knew that story existed." But like, 9 times out of 10, I feel like I get it right, and people, or at least not heinously wrong. And people do seem to appreciate it. I don't feel like, I think people's problems with me are generally for other things. Getting characters wrong.
Like honestly, I haven't seen anyone have a problem with it. Like I've seen there's hype for the King in Black tie-in, especially for myself. I see it as two of Marvel's top writers right now. Donny Cates is spearheading the King in Black event, and then you're coming in and doing a tie-in into his event, and it's just it's a match made in heaven.
I mean, Donny's got a great sense of like what makes an event an event. It's like he's always, I mean, if you read issue 1, just the sheer amount of like, it's like he's great at that kind of like building and building and building the thing. So it's like, and yeah, he's got like, I know Venom fans You know, people who are big fans of his run are kind of like enjoying it. And it's like tying into that, it's sort of it is the case though where like kind of we're in the margins of it. But like it sort of gives us an opportunity to kind of do that experimental stuff, do that kind of like that almost marginal stuff. And it's kind of, I think with the absolute kindness thing, Hulk really did have a big central role in that. So that was much more of a kind of like, okay, we're telling the story of how Bruce Banner got into this position. And that gives us a really good opportunity to like, introduce a bunch of Venom readers to like how we do things in Hulktown. And B, kind of, this is the first time we've really had the opportunity to have a proper conversation between the various Bruce Banner's alters, the various parts of the system. And it's like, that was just so much fun to write them bouncing off each other that like, I kind of started working. I mean, I think post 33, that's where kind of the Mindscape really becomes like an important location in the book, because it was time that they talked to each other.
Yeah.
Like, we were at that stage where that needed to start happening. So yeah, we brought back like the Mindscape, especially as I'd done some research, and it turns out I was a little worried that this was sort of a thing that people who have dissociative identity disorder in the real world, they don't have these like giant, Doctor Strange style mindscapes. And it's, that's true. But there is a thing called the inner world that I looked up and researched where, people do have sort of internal spaces. So it's, it's kind of beefed up for the comics in the way that all aspects of Bruce, at the end of the day, Bruce Banner is somebody with dissociative identity disorder who was also hit by a gamma bomb.
Yeah.
So his experiences are not universal to people with that condition. But like, so yeah, everything's kind of larger than life in that sense. But like at the same time, I do think of him in those terms as like a part of a system. And yeah, and all the Hulks and like how they relate to the parts of a dissociative identity disorder system. What roles they would take in that. So that was an opportunity to really get into that.
I'd say you spoke about the dissociative personality disorder there. The build from Immortal Hulk 1 right through with the inner battle between Bruce and the Hulk was honestly, it was one of the best ways. I couldn't see it being written any better. There was a panel in one of the first issues with him staring into the public bathroom mirror and Hulk staring back. And I think it took up a full page. And I just remember I stayed on that page for a good 5 minutes, just completely admiring everything about it.
That was a great page to get back from Joe. That was like that did look amazing. But like that was kind of that sort of set the tone for like a lot of the interactions from then on. And we still occasionally I won't like say which issue or what circumstances, but we still occasionally do the mirror thing. And I mean now it's much more like now that we've sort of introduced the mindscape, it's much easier to have sort of conversations inside it. But like yeah, we still, you know, there's times when it's better to do the mirror thing,
Yeah.
than to have the, you know, cut away to this inner space.
It's it's kind of what's that movie with Jim Carrey? It reminds me of Me, Myself, and Irene.
Oh, oh man, I've never seen that. Uh, I don't know how well it did like it did the DID representation. I'd have to look it up and see what people said about it. But like, I've I don't know, with Jim Carrey, I feel like I got to the Cable Guy, and then I'd sort of had enough. But I know his career took this turn into much more sort of serious, dramatic
Yeah.
stuff.
Like
Um,
when I think of him, I think the two movies I think of is Liar, Liar, and Ace Ventura.
yeah, I mean, Ace Ventura, it was very of its time.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the the one I think of, I guess, I don't know. Maybe this means I've got a more of a kind of more time for it. But I think of the Truman Show a lot,
Mm,
and I think that might have been the first time, because that was after Cable Guy, so I guess I saw that. But that was very much like the kind of, because he was in that, and then he was in Eternal Sunshine, which I haven't seen. Uh, but I feel like Liar Liar was like maybe the tail end of his sort of Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey movies.
yeah,
But like, you know, where it's like he's gonna do his thing.
yeah.
Uh, but like yeah, no, the Truman Show, I remember being a good film.
Actually, just to mention it now, I'm just thinking I need to watch that again. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Oh, we're watching a lot of giallo movies at the moment,
Yeah.
like these Italian sort of horror slasher things, which it's like we were talking about video games earlier. That might have been off before the recording started, but like it's like a min-maxing thing. It's like they've sort of put all their points into like the setting and the costumes and like, you know, the cinematography and the editing. You know, the editing's always, you know, usually wonderful. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes they just drag. But like, you know, often, you know, you get this like this wonderful editing and, you know, these amazing costumes and these beautiful sets and props, and they're all like in service of like this kind of dodgy like murder plot that's like sort of uh and you're just kind of like and yeah, it's been a lockdown thing for us, just like watching these films and just kind of just really getting into like these beautiful like, you know, 70s Rome, and like, you know, all these amazing like suits and cars and houses, and we'll sort of like paying no attention to the plot, just like critiquing the decor. It's like so that's our thing, is like this weird sort of odyssey through, you know, Italian kind of murder cinema.
You're doing better than me. I at the start of the first lockdown, I sat down with me and my partner, watched through the MCU movies in chronological order. And
Oof.
now, because of that, now the last three movies I've watched have been chick flicks.
I mean, you're
Which
gonna have to tell me. You're gonna have to tell me what those movies are.
the like chick flicks, that one with Emma Roberts in it, Holiday, the Princess Switch 2 with Vanessa Hudgens. And as much as it kills me to say, I've actually enjoyed a couple.
Hang on. Are you doing like a marathon of
Oh no,
Hallmark Hallmark Christmas movies.
No, we finished the MCU marathon, and now it's just she's picking a random
Right.
like every night, and that's what I'm watching.
I mean, we got seriously tempted by one of those Hallmark Christmas movies. Like, it literally started with somebody in an office going, "Oh, I'm not going to take any time for Christmas." Like, the sort of high-powered executive going
Yeah.
like, "Oh, but I might go home to my small town on a business thing." And it's like, "Oh, right, yeah, it's one of these 1,000 movies." But yeah, we couldn't hack it. We just like quit after like 15 minutes because it's like we'd rather be watching like anything else. Um, but I don't know, yeah. I mean, we're never going to run out of Italian like horror slasher films. Some of them have been terrible. Don't watch Oasis of Fear. It's just really bad. It's just really badly paced. It's awful. Like literally, it's just terrible from the beginning. I don't. Yeah, there was when you said chronological order. What was that like?
Honestly,
How did it change the experience?
a lot of pieces came together a lot quicker than they did when you watch it in release order. It pieces together actually really nicely,
Oh, okay, cool.
which is impressive considering some of the movies that if you put in chronological order, like it goes Captain America, then Captain Marvel, and there's like years between them, but it pieces together wonderfully.
I mean, they should. So you didn't go as far as like watching Captain America and then watching like one scene from Ant-Man.
No,
Like,
I considered it, but the partner was like, "No, I'm not. I'm not watching a full movie, then a scene from another movie, just to watch that
yeah,
same movie later." But I did.
yeah.
I held off on. I think it was the post-credit scene of Ant-Man and the Wasp. I told her, "No, we need to watch Infinity War first, then we can watch that post-credit scene."
See, that's the kind of thing. There needs to be like a list somewhere of like how to do it in like absolute chronological order.
I think I've seen one, and it includes like the TV shows, it includes Agents of Shield and
Oh
everything.
God. Oh, I never got. I think I watched the first episode of Agents of Shield, and they were entirely too happy about like black bagging people, so I stopped. Um, but I did watch all of Agent Carter, the first series, and that
I
was
haven't
great.
actually finished that. I haven't actually finished Agent Carter.
It's a really solid show. I've not seen the second series, but I hear good things.
I was going to speaking of
Uh,
Agent Carter. I don't know if you said there about watching the shows and stuff. Everyone I've spoken to in the comic world has a different opinion. Some, when they're not writing comics, they stay away from the comic kind of media.
I mean, I like going to the films. Um, I like seeing them in the cinema. I like seeing them in 3D. I get a big bucket of popcorn and a drink, and I just they're never less than like entertaining. Uh, I mean, I've got my favorites and my least favorites like anyone else, but like yeah, I don't really, and I kind of see it as like it's rare that I've walked out of one of those without an idea brewing.
Did you see the Disney Investors Day announcements? Actually, it was a
What a name for it. Yeah, no, I have seen them. It's fascinating from a point of view of like kind of seeing the shows catch up to like some of the stuff I was around for. Like there's a bit in that Loki trailer where he's sort of on a plane and then you see him like jumping out of the plane and sort of, and obviously you have the big vote Loki shot in that trailer.
yeah, huge.
Spoilers, I guess, if you haven't seen that trailer. Um,
If they're listening to us now, they've watched the video I done on it last night. So
yeah, fair enough. Oh right, I'll have to check that out once that drops. But like, yeah, obviously they're taking a lot from the series after mine. But yeah, watching Loki jump out of that plane, I did get that. So, oh, are they? They're not going the same route around to it, but are they doing this a little bit? And it's hard to say.
yeah,
But like, I mean, it's fascinating. One Division looks fascinating. At some point, I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and get Disney Plus, which is because we've been on Netflix.
Yeah.
You know, we're a Netflix household, and it's like you could keep up with all of the, pretty much everything we wanted to see. We skipped a couple of things. We never watched Iron Fist in the end.
Mm.
But we saw all the Daredevils. We saw you know Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and the Defenders one. We saw all of that, and those were all good. But like this feels more kind of connected in somehow. I don't know if it's because it's like if it's like Tom Hiddleston,
Yeah. Like,
and all of the actors from the actual movies are kind of doing the. But then, because you had like, I'm trying to remember because in that Agent Carter thing, I'm pretty sure it was the same guy playing Tony Stark, no, Howard Stark in that. Who was in the movies?
yeah,
I
I think
feel like it was. And I know he turns into the guy from Mad Men
mm,
in the 70s. Which, hang on a second, isn't that? I thought for ages that it was like, what is his name? Madman guy, the Sterling,
um,
him, Tony Howard Stark,
mm,
70s version. What's the actor's name? Ah, all I'm thinking is John Hamm because I've said Madman now, but it's the other one,
Dominic Cooper.
Dominic Cooper. But like, I was sure it was him as the TVA guy in the Loki trailer,
Now
but
that
I
you
think
mention,
it's just sorry.
yeah, now that you mention it, I'm thinking back to it now, and now you have me wondering: was it him in the?
I think it's just somebody with a really similar face, and they've put him in like white hair and mustache, and uh, but like I don't know if I had to guess, and I'm not in the loop on any of this stuff. This is a total guess, but it does look from the outside as if Loki might be doing missions to like kind of uh, work off some sentence. So maybe that's what they've you know borrowed from my stuff. I don't know, but I mean I'm gonna know about it
Yeah,
as and when I watch the TV show. Which I guess I'd have to get Disney Plus to do that.
I'd
Uh,
say it's worth it. I paid for just a full year, and it was great for doing the MCU watch through. It's great for The Mandalorian. Um,
yeah, I've not kept up on that either. We've been watching a lot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
love it. Yeah, no, it's I recommend it. See, for us now, it's I've been caught lately with lockdown. The little one just wants to watch Rio 2 on repeat, so I know that word for word. But when we get a chance, I'll watch a bit of The Mandalorian, or I'll watch one of the old '90s Spider-Man cartoon from Fox.
Oh man, that was like that was well after my time. I remember Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Yeah, no, with Disney Plus, I think the Investors Day was the right name for it because I think they gained a lot of investors from those trailers. I think their stock went way up.
I mean, that's probably that's probably good for Disney, given like the kind of the general nature of the world as it is, making sort of going to the movies, going to theme parks, going to all the places where Disney does business. It's like it's not really something people want to do or should want to do, unless it's a drive-in.
Drive.
I hear odd drive-ins. I mean, we don't really have them over here. I don't know. I don't know whether like there's a lot of drive-ins in Ireland, but like I don't think definitely not got them over here. But I think in America they're still a thing.
I think in America they've tried it here. They've done a few drive-in movies, but it's classic movies they're showing. Like, it's not none of the new stuff. So it's the likes of, they'll show Dirty Dancing or Back to the Future, and it's very, very occasional.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a tradition of them, so
Mm.
it's probably harder to kind of get them
Yeah.
going.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I kind of feel like streaming is how people are gonna, consume their films and telly for the next, definitely the next like year or so. I mean, everything's sort of screwed right now.
Yeah, like Warner Brothers now, they've releasing everything onto HBO Max for next year. All their film line and TV lines going
Yeah.
straight there.
I mean, but it's going to change like a lot of how stuff is done. I think. I mean,
I'm worried will
it
cinema
already has.
survive.
Sorry.
I'm worried will cinema survive? Like, will the cinema business survive this, or what's
I mean,
going?
I think small cinemas, they've got to be in real trouble. But a lot of places are in real trouble. Like I live in a kind of a tourist town, which means we have a lot of restaurants and a lot of pubs, and like I don't know, obviously, it's been forever and a day since I've been to a restaurant, but we used to go quite a lot. And I don't know once things sort of, once people have their jabs, once things are sort of returning to a state of not normalcy, but like whatever comes next.
Yeah,
I don't really know. Kind of, there's a lot of things I think because I mean, even takeaway places. It's like a lot of them have just gone
yeah.
in my area, and it's like, and it'll be cinemas, restaurants. Like there was one that was like, we went like exactly once, because it's a fancy place,
Yeah.
and like we really wanted to go again, and then everything happened, and we were like, okay, well that's not happening in the future. But what they did do is like, okay, if you come round to us, we will give you a box full of our ingredients, and you can cook it at home, and like this is like, we'll have done a lot of the work for you. You just need to heat it up, and it's like, and also but it's like there's a bunch of restaurants sort of trying things like that. There's like Red Chili's in town has basically become just a takeaway place. Uh, and it's just like, it'll be the places that learn how to adapt
Yeah.
in the short to medium term, that survive long enough to kind of welcome people back. And I mean, some places have just gone into hibernation. Like,
Some places, I think it's just it's damage limitations at the minute for a lot of places.
yeah, it's tricky. I mean, I don't know what the general feeling is in Ireland, but like, there's a lot of, I think certainly England um, has its head collectively up its arse about a lot of stuff. I'm sure that's no huge bit of news. But like, yeah, there's a lot of this kind of, oh, we can't show fear against this thing. It's a virus. It can't, it doesn't care if you're afraid. It cares about like your lymph nodes. It's like, it's not looking at you like your level of fear. But it's like, England's got this desperate desire to like fight the Luftwaffe again. And it's like, oh yeah, the EU and the Luftwaffe again, and we're gonna stand up. No, like, no, you don't. You're just shooting yourself in the foot. Oh, COVID, it's the Luftwaffe again. We've got to stand up. No, it's a virus. Just and if you're so willing to like fight the good fight, why aren't you wearing your mask? It's just wild. I mean, and I think it's worse in the States, but like with that level of like denialism and sort of, but every like half of the Tories are all going like, oh, we've got to open everything up and like take our chances. And it's like, no, you do not. You do not have to do that.
All you do
In
is look at
fact,
New Zealand. Like, look at New Zealand; they're out of it now. They're
yeah, yeah,
functioning because they were smart.
yeah. God, so many places are just so much smarter than like, and I mean, it's like, because I know France have been hit like pretty hard, and they kind of went in on it. So I think there's a measure of luck as well, but like, and maybe a measure of connectedness. Maybe because it's harder to get to New Zealand, so whereas you can just drive across the border in France and start infecting people. But like, I know France have been like cracking down, and they've got it more under control. It's like Britain is not doing well with this, and especially England is not doing well with this. And I would put the entire blame for that on the absolute shower of shit we have running things. Uh, never trust a Tory with anything.
No. Look, here's the same. It's we're doing better, but we're not doing good enough with it. And again, it's because of the absolute idiots we have in government.
I mean, it's just that's the thing. New Zealand shows that it can be done, but I feel like it might be a national character thing as well. Like the thing I've sort of started noticing about the English is like we have that American sense of our own exceptionalism, but at the same time, we believe that we're incredibly humble. And it's like put them together, and it is just a recipe for the most Dunning-Kruger assholes on the planet. Just like the level of just toxic wank in England is just appalling. And I mean, it makes like we don't have a leg to stand on criticizing like the Americans or anyone else. We're like, I think once you've elected Boris Johnson in a landslide, you know the you are no longer in a position as a country to say anything bad about anyone else ever. But we're drifting into the political realm here. I'm sorry if this is a terrible shock to your viewers.
No, it works.
That I hold these views.
It works out well. I was actually going to ask. I know because politics do make their way into comics. Art imitation.
Yeah.
Politics has been in comics from right back to Stan's
I mean, to remove, you can write stuff that is apolitical. What I would say is that is also a political decision. And pretty much everything you write is going to have a measure of politics in it.
Yeah.
Just by virtue of, being about humans. And like, unless you're writing it about like, amoebas in the next universe. I think Hulk 25 was like the least political comic I've ever written because it has nothing at all to do with any facet of life as it is lived. It's like You know, it's about amoebas in the next universe. You know, so if you want a comic that's not political, have I got one for you? Except I warn you, these amoebas do have a very different concept of gender, so you might find yourself freaking out.
We're talking about movies before this, and we're talking about the Disney announcements. We're talking about what we were binging at the minute. What is your opinions on the announcements for Spider-Man 3? All the many announcements.
I've probably heard like about half of them. I mean, there've been that many, but I know there are like going to be other Spider-Man in it.
Yeah, it looks like we have Melina coming back as Doc Ock. We have Jamie Foxx's Electro, Andrew Garfield and Kirsten Dunst, and then the rumors are Tobey Maguire and Emma Stone.
See, I did not know like half of that. I knew we'd probably see. I knew Andrew Garfield. I knew we'd probably see like Tobey Maguire. It sounds like a Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
I mean, and if it's a Spider-Verse, you got to have Miles. So I'm sort of waiting for. I mean, this is still going to be like a Sony thing, yeah, like Sony in partnership, or
yeah.
I mean, I guess even more in partnership if they're giving like their Spider-Man to.
It's interesting, like I said about Miles. There, it's my first thought. They like from what I've seen, Spider-Man: Homecoming and Far From Home are kind of loosely based on Bendis's Ultimate Spider-Man, and they did tease Miles. They introduced Miles' Uncle Aaron in Spider-Man: Homecoming, and he mentioned he had a nephew. So
Oh, well, there we go. They're already planning it. So I guess like these are the kind of like I would be really, really, really surprised if they didn't like I would be like so surprised if they didn't announce Miles.
Yeah, especially considering it's right there next to and connected to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So,
yeah, yeah.
Which is connected to WandaVision, so I'm sure WandaVision is going to kick all this off.
Yep.
You have other comics you're working on at the minute. You have a Sword.
Yep.
Which
those both out.
A bit of a quote from a comic group chat I'm in on Twitter was,
"Oh yeah,
Al Ewing is really the MVP of Marvel Comics right now."
That's very kind of them to say. I mean, I'm doing quite a bit for Marvel at the moment. I'm sort of I mean, it's I'd say I'm up against some very stiff competition. So it's like I'm not sure I'd say that myself, but it's a huge compliment. So thank you very much.
With Sword now, it's the X titles are coming back in a big way. What's it like being a part of that? I know they came back. There was X of Swords, and then there was Krakoa has come into it in the last while.
I mean,
What's it like?
I was to be kind of part of that office, part of that crowd is like it's a really amazing kind of professional experience, and that like they're really kind of the level of collaboration and cooperation and kind of we're all pulling in the same direction. We're able to do things like sort of have storylines kind of affect like the other titles in small ways. And X of Swords, I sort of watched that happen because I was sort of working on putting Sword together, but I was kind of in the room, in the virtual room for it. But like kind of watching that come together and watching that happen. That was kind of you know, it was really great to just watch that from the outside, to just watch like just a room full of like incredibly talented people and like really, really sort of giving. Um, there are like no prima donnas in that room. There's like nothing. Nobody's like the most important person. It's like, you know, you've got kind of you've got Jonathan as like the guiding hand, and you know, Jordan and Alice and like the other editors as like you know, keeping the engine running. But it's such a kind of, and you'll probably hear this out of like every single ex-worker right now, in that like it's a really, I mean, the word giving, I think, probably sums it up. It's just a really kind of and it's really exciting. It's a really exciting room to be in as well, because, you know, largely as a result of like House of X and Powers of X hitting as well as it did, and people, and really kind of recharging people's interest in the X-Men. Um, it's like we can go to some really exciting places. We can sort of, I mean, the whole Krakoa thing and the resurrections and the all of that business. That's like, that's already it's already kind of pushing things forward, like pushing the status quo of the X-Men forward into a kind of new place in a way that like I think the resurrections, more than anything else, they've had their own place before.
Yeah.
Um, but like just sort of doing away with the concept of like, you know, superhero death.
Yeah.
It's like, and then, you know, I've kind of I came at a similar thing from a different direction with Hulk, in that, like, you know, once you take away this one crutch, what stories can you then tell? Once you take away this one kind of, once you're no longer afraid for the Hulk's life, what do you become afraid
Yeah.
for?
It,
And like, and then, you know, similarly with like with the X titles, like X of Swords kind of introduced a way that like, I mean, I don't know, you know, I don't know if all of your viewers have read it yet, but there's a moment where like Death returns to the franchise, and it's like, you know, in a sense, and it's like that was huge, and you know, we got to watch in real time, and like people like being stunned, being shocked in a way that like, I mean, there's a kind of cynicism in play. I think comic readers have sort of been burned a few times by plots. So there's a sort of cynicism about certain plot beats now that's very hard to overcome. But like, I mean, you know, if you let me, I'll just gush about the X Office like for, you know,
it's
forever, because it really is. It's probably my favorite place to work at Marvel.
it's really
And you know, that's not saying anything bad about any of the other editors I work with. It's just a different experience and a much more communal one.
it's amazing, and I've often wondered, is could that be their route into introducing the X-Men into the MCU? You know, they were always there, but just kind of on their own island and
Oh,
thing.
if we're going back to those announcements, seeing that Big Four,
Yeah,
that was quite like, okay, they're really doing it.
yeah, they're
Okay
bringing
then.
it over.
Wow. But yeah, no, definitely like I feel like with the films, with the movies and the TV shows, I wouldn't want to kind of tie them down to one interpretation of anything,
Yeah,
because like they have so much to kind of base stuff off. And like the most successful things, like I wasn't that excited by the Watchmen film. I mean, I sort of went, went to see it almost as a visual treat. I wanted to see how all that. I knew Dave Givens was quite heavily involved, so But like the Watchmen film, to me, it felt like a replaying of the scenes from the comic, but sort of made slightly worse. In that most of the best lines seem to be cut. But the one bit of Watchmen was really like that really grabbed me, that actually made me sort of lean forward and like, get excited, was when Rorschach grabs the guy and like shoves his face into the camera and goes, "What do you see?" Because that was a beat not from the comic. That was something that the filmmakers had come up with entirely. And, it was like a different way of looking at the character. And like, obviously if you take that to its limit, you're kind of advocating for original films that are based on like no problem. But we live in the world we live in. But in terms of like doing the best like Marvel movies and TV shows, it's always the one that kind of it's always putting, I kind of go to the cinema to see what spin the filmmakers have put on. I don't want to see like a recreation of a comic, even if it's like a really good comic. I kind of want to see how they handle. So with the X-Men, they've got so much to choose from. They've got so many different eras of X-Men to choose from and to start with, that I'm kind of excited to see how they do it, and how they do it that's sort of different from like how the Fox movies did it.
Yeah.
Because that was starting to get weird. Those Fox movies, like they're set in the 90s and they're all the same age as they were in the 60s. It's like, okay, you're starting to lose me at this point.
I think with them, with the Fox X-Men movies, I think they hit gold when they done the loose as adaptation of Old Man Logan. When they done Logan, I thought was, in my opinion, was a masterpiece. I thought it was one of the
Yeah.
it was, they didn't go too campy. They weren't trying too hard. It just seemed like they found the Old Man Logan comic book and said, right, we're gonna make a loose adaptation of this. We're gonna introduce X-23, and it was just, everything just came together beautifully.
I mean, I'd go as far as to say that it takes very little from Old Man Logan. It's like, the other X-Men, it's just Logan left, and, but I mean, they take a couple of things, but it's like they take as much from like other sources. And it's kind of, yeah, it really worked. It really made a really kind of, that I would agree that's probably the best of all of the X-Men films to date. It's that one.
Look, we've been talking nearly 2 hours now.
Okay,
We've
yeah,
taken your time. I'm not gonna take your time. We'll take about your movie marathons.
fair enough.
I'll just say, just to close it all off. This is it was very different. I've been kind of getting used to the whole interview format,
Oh,
and with
well,
yourself,
I was just rambling.
it was a lot more relaxed. We talked about movies. It wasn't just interviews of questions you've heard before, like who are your inspirations. I'm sure everyone's heard them a million times now at this stage.
I mean,
Um,
there's a few. There's like the one I get a lot these days is how did where did like the Hulk, come? Where did the Immortal Hulk come from? And I have told that one like a dozen times, and it's like, and I'll tell a very short version now, which is that like Bruce Banner was dead and we needed to bring him back, and we needed a good idea to do that, and it all sprang from there. But like the yeah, it's good to just I really like doing these kind of podcasts, and it's good to just chat, to just like shoot the shit a little bit.
yeah.
Uh, And yeah, we have just had this giant wave of like announcements that everybody's kind of fascinated by and like asking questions about. So yeah, and like I say, this sort of Loki series, I'm really interested in that because I want to see like what they're doing with it.
It does. The Loki series looks incredible. It's
Yeah.
like you said, there was that scene that from Vote Loki. There was the airplane one that looked slightly like Agent Loki, Loki Agent of Asgard. There's it's going to be
I
interesting to
mean,
see.
they're definitely because like seeing the Vote Loki costume, brought to life, but was like, okay, they're definitely taking some stuff,
Yeah,
but we don't know how much. So
it'd be interesting. I'll probably try to get you on again after it comes out to to talk to you about
yeah.
what.
I mean, well, I might not have Disney Plus by then. It's so I might not have seen it,
I'll make
but
sure to
like,
check in first, make sure you have it.
I'll probably have heard about it. All right.
Look, I'm not going to keep you too much longer.
Yeah, no, it was good coming on.
I
Uh,
really enjoyed talking to you. Probably the most relaxed I've been in during one of the podcasts with the guests. So thank you for that.
oh, good. Well, I'm happy to come back. We can like if people feel like we haven't covered any topic, then
Just let us know, and we'll
yeah,
make sure to
cool,
get into it again.
cool. Yeah, we'll do,
Yeah.
we'll do.
Look, for everyone listening, uh, everyone knows Immortal Hulk by now if you're a comic fan because it's one of the. I'm pretty sure it's one of the first titles on everyone's pull list. Sword #1 is out now. Is there anything else you'd like to add or plug? Anything coming up?
I should definitely plug We Only Find Them When They're Dead,
Yeah.
which is also issue 4 of that is out next week as we record this. I think that'll be the 16th.
So by the time this episode's released, that'll be on board. We release Wednesday morning.
Okay. So yeah, that'll be out today by the time this episode's released. Though. So yeah, and that is something I'm doing with Simone DeMeo, and it's a much more sort of it's a much more personal work. It's a more kind of it's both a very large and a very small scale. But if you haven't heard the elevator pitch, it's vast dead space gods are being autopsied, mined by a colony for resources, and one mining ship wants to go and find a live one. And then we build out from there. So
That, I haven't picked that up, so that sounds like something I need to go get.
no, well, I mean, by the time, I guess we're going to be kind of close to, we'll be issue 4's coming out, so that's nearly all of the first arc. So if you want to grab a bunch of them,
Yeah,
it's probably a good time
to. Perfect. Yeah, I'll make sure to grab them. So, listen, you're a busy man. Like the amount of work you're working on, what you've just finished. Like you've just finished up Empire. Immortal Hulk is still going. Thank God. Let's hope it gets into the hundreds in issues.
I mean, we've got a plan. We've got a plan for Immortal Hulk, and it's progressing apace. So,
well, I'm hoping the cons are back soon, and I'm hoping if
that'd be good.
Back,
yeah, that'd be nice.
if they are
That'd
back and you
nice.
get over to the Dublin Comic Con anytime the next couple of years, I'll be trying to get you to sign my Immortal Hulk issue.
Yeah.
Look,
Cool.
I'll let you go.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
It's been absolutely amazing. I was nervous coming on to this. I always am coming on to a show with my favorite writers, but you're an absolute sound bloke, and
oh well, glad to be
you. But you relaxed my nerves and just made this.
Yeah, I mean, let's kind of let's do it again.
Yeah, listen. Thanks a million again.
All right, no problem.
Peter, you've been listening to the Superior Comic Show. Thanks a million to Al Ewing, and everyone make sure to go out and grab one of the many top titles he's working on, from Immortal Hulk to Sword. We Only Find Them When We're Dead, was it?
Yep, We Only Find Them When They're Dead. It's a mouthful, but like, yeah,
brilliant. So you get back to your movie marathons.
no, I will do.
I'll get back to my chick flicks, and
I'll see you later.
yeah, I'll see you later.
Bye.
Al. Thanks a million. Thank you.